Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Wake up. Wake up. Time to wake up. Rise and shine. Du hast mich. Are you awake? So what's new? What's new? Earlier, I think it was in I don't know if it's in England, some European, maybe it was a soccer game, white people, white youth people at a sporting event. I'm not sure if it was soccer, which would be football in other languages. They were saying you can shove the booster up your ass. I don't think they wanted a booster. Endless boosters. So there's really no escaping this subject. You can talk about any other subject, but there's no escaping that subject, is there? There's no escaping that subject. So, you know, I think about, and I was thinking about, and I always think about, and I talk about it sometimes. Sometimes when I think about it, I talk about it. But the illusion of the illusion of wealth, and I've said it before, but I'm just going to keep saying it. If you don't have autonomy over your own body, or your child's body, or if you have basically forced somebody else, whether it's governmental or a pharmaceutical company with zero liability, you have if they have the ability to force their product, their liability-free product that could kill you, harm you, or your child, and they have no liability. Why do we have nice things? Why do we have nice things? Why do you have that nice house with that nice car? You're living in an illusion of wealth. It's an absolute illusion. Why do you have nice things? Why do you go to school? So you can make money, so you can buy all those nice things. Why don't you go live in the woods somewhere where you can have freedom? It's the most important thing. It's not unimportant. It's the most important. So now if you live on an island by yourself, isolated from the world and everybody else, and you have something, you have freedom, right? But you don't have friends. Kind of like Cuba, you know? Cuba was isolated, you know, trade-wise. They don't have much in or out. Kind of as punishment, right? Kind of a way for the U.S. to punish the Cubans. So being isolated from the world isn't really freedom either, is it? It's a type of punishment. You can't participate. And we're not going to trade with you. We're going to cut you off. Our gang. But it is the most important. It is what brings, freedom is what brings prosperity. Slavery, being a slave or a bitch to Pfizer, a bitch to Pfizer, like the U.S. government is Pfizer's bitch. The U.S. military is Pfizer's bitch, right? The whole world is pharmaceutical companies' bitch. They just have to buy, they own the media, and they own your government. Not all governments, but it seems like they own the U.S. government, like they own Trump, Biden, obviously Fauci, who's been running his scam along with HIV/AIDS for, looks like his whole entire career. This guy is a career criminal, without a doubt. I'd go as far to say as Fauci's drugs probably killed Freddie Mercury, who was probably healthy. I'm not saying I promote that lifestyle, drugs and homosexuality, but I'm guessing what killed him is the AIDS drugs and not AIDS. What killed Freddie Mercury is the test that told him he was sick, that told him to go take drugs, that killed him. I'm going to go with that. So I'm going to go ahead and go with Anthony Fauci killed Freddie Mercury. Yep, that's what I'm going with. Lifelong career criminal that Trump shared a stage with. So, you know, Trump invited him on stage with him and share the microphone to push his and peddle his poison to the American people. Thanks, Trump. Great guy. You're our guy. In the latest episode of Trump saying he got the booster. He loves it. You're the guy, Trump. You're America's guy. Yeah, don't worry about getting booed. Don't worry about that. Keep pushing it. Keep pushing your shit. Why do we have nice things? Why does Mercedes-Benz make... Why do they pay attention to quality? Why pay attention to all these details and when you build a car or a house? And how do you miss the biggest fucking detail of what's injected into you or your bloodstream? How do you fucking miss that? How can you be so smart and educated and, you know, build a house and do all these things or design this car, but you miss the biggest thing that really matters, and you just completely miss it? I mean, I get people can be brainwashed. I get it. I know brainwashing works, mind control, whatever you want to call it, hypnosis. You're under a hypnotic spell. I get it. It happens. But at what point do you wake up? Maybe this is part of it. Maybe it's accelerationism, right? Maybe that's what it is. Because they've been doing this kind of slow kill, dumbing down the mercury, the dimersal, dumbing your kids down year after year. Maybe the best way is accelerationism, right? Maybe that's the strategy. I mean, in any war, there's strategy involved, right? So maybe we're going to go with, okay, it's part of a strategy. It's accelerationism. It's all just a strategy by the white hats, right? Yeah, I guess people really have to get control of their governments who are right now working for the pharmaceutical industry. They're working for a liability-free pharmaceutical industry. You got the PrEP Act on top of the 1986 VAERS Act. You have the PrEP Act. So you have 10 different layers and levels of I don't give a fuck what I do to you. If the medical industry system, hospitals, none of them give a fuck. None of them should have to give a fuck because they have zero liability. So they covered their asses. Now you got to cover your ass because they're exempt, but you're not. You're not exempt. You're the target. And who's got your back? Not Trump, not Biden, not corrupt politicians who are owned by corrupt pharmaceutical companies. Well, I wouldn't say a pharmaceutical company is corrupt when your whole entire design system is what it is. It's not corrupt, it's working as it should. So when something is functional, it's not necessarily a dysfunction or corruption, it's just working as it should, which is the design itself is corrupt. Their very thing is corrupt. So actually to deviate from that would be something odd. So it's just a status quo. Yeah, what's new? What's new? What else do I want to talk about? I don't know. I'll talk about beads. Want to talk about beads? Break up my necklace here. I got the copper. I got the black tourmaline here. It's kind of a rough piece with the hole drilled in the middle. I used to, I had a bracelet with copper. I guess it was copper, but it was maybe copper plated brass, but I really noticed that I liked the copper combo black tourmaline. These blacks are black onyx, black obsidian, and I think I have a few tourmalines in here too, the round ones. This is tourmaline, but the centerpiece is tourmaline, but I have some regular, some of these are tourmaline, some of them are obsidian. And they all behave differently, they all act differently, they'll have different effects on, they'll have different relationships with the copper. Even though they look the same, they're not the same. So the obsidian kind of, that's the shadow work, drawing in your shadows, your fears maybe, or whatever, kind of the stuff like that. Tourmaline behaves in a different way. It's very grounding, more like onyx. But tourmaline can absorb a lot of bad energy, so it needs to be cleansed, they say, because it'll absorb so much. And so I think with the copper being electric, basically, you have that energy, and you have the grounding. So you have something pretty cool. So yeah, I'd say copper and tourmaline. I really like that combo. I'd say it's a decent combo. So I tried to duplicate that again, but with the other blacks mixed in there, the black onyx and the obsidian. So I don't know, I guess it's kind of close enough. Maybe it's, I don't know. You can't really get a good read because it's mixed with onyx and the obsidian. But I just put it there so it looks a certain way, but the effects are going to be something unique aside from just the color. So that's why I go, you know, it's not about looks or color, it's about the substance of the stone, the type of stone, what it's made of. Yeah. So yeah, I really want for humanity, for people, you know, I'm pro-human. I am pro-human. Doesn't mean I like all humans, right? But generally speaking, I'm pro-human. I'm not anti-human. So I wouldn't want anybody to inject themselves with something that might harm them. I wouldn't want you to do that to your child or yourself, right? And I want, you know, that when I say freedom, well, it just means structure. You know, there's that book, it's called, well, it's about vice. So you say you give a person freedom, and then they go to all these different vices, whether it's pornography, you know, or alcohol. So freedom is not freedom, but what you want is structure, a good structure, you know. You want to give people freedom, yes, but freedom is freedom from vice in a way. Freedom is knowing the right structure to kind of build your life on, what not to do, knowing what not to do. Libido Dominante, that's the book I'm thinking about. Libido Dominante. You know, I'm not Catholic, but you know, a few people in these groups I follow, they are, you know, they're of the Catholic religion or faith or whatever. So what's his name? Libido Dominante. In other words, dominated by your libido, dominated by your vice, you know, kind of, you're lost, you know, you're not free. So when I say freedom, what does that really mean? It doesn't mean, it means the right order, a good order, you know. When I say freedom, I want the world to have freedom. It means justice, right? It means you prosecute people who force poison into children or adults to try to enslave humanity. You don't let them do that, you know. You live in a society that does not allow that type of behavior, whether it's from a corporation or a politician or both, which right now is happening. It's both. The corporation has bought governments, they've bought the media, and they really own you in a way. Their goal is to own humanity, enslave humanity. So that is not a good order. That's a bad order, right? That's not freedom. Yeah, but I do have to go back to that. That's, you know, I might pick up that book. He credits the church, you know, some people credit a certain race. He credits the church in a way. I think he credits the church, you know, for bringing order. But Yeah, I'll have to pick up that book. But he makes a lot of good points, you know. I'll have to look up a couple of those quotes, but, you know, in these debates, a lot of good points. What's the guy's name I'm thinking of, though? I can't, well, I can look it up. I'll look it up later. I haven't heard him talk in a while, but, but yeah, back to what I want for humanity. Well, I want one thing, and then you have other people who want to allow children to, or allow parents to make life-changing decisions for children, essentially child abuse. So they want something else. They hate humanity. And so you could say that satanic is against nature. It's against humanity. We have, you know, people in government, in the U.S. government now, saying they want to allow children, or parents to allow children, because children are still going to have parents. So they want a child to be able to make the decision to undergo a sex change procedures, like chemicals, injecting chemicals like hormone blockers. So this is really, you can call it satanic, or it's anti-human, without a doubt. It's anti-human. So that's what they want. So we have an anti-human agenda. People in the U.S. government with an anti-human agenda, whether you want to call it satanic, it's against nature, it's against humanity, you know. So that's what we have in the U.S. government. That's what they want. So they want something for humanity. And so these two things do not go together. You cannot be pro-human and anti-human at the same time. I mean, you can say, okay, you want to smoke, you want to drink, we can allow that, maybe even though it's not the best, not healthy. I mean, you know, if you smoke tobacco, I guess, out of a wood pipe, less chemicals, can be, you know, shamanistic or medicinal in certain ways, I guess. If you go way back, you know, to the Indians or whoever. So I'm not against, you know, I'm not for controlling people in that way, but when you allow a parent or a child to this kind of evil deception to happen, this is evil. It's evil. So I'm not sure. Well, so yeah, these are two different agendas. There's pro-human and anti-human. So there's an obvious anti-human agenda that's on display in the U.S. government with these characters. And I mean these characters, like the Surgeon General, it's like a male that looks like dressing like a female. This is on full display for the world to see. You know, this is our government. I guess it's our government. They don't represent me. These anti-human Satanist pigs do not represent my values. They represent the values of Satan, I guess. Anti-human Satanists. But they in no way represent the values of Christianity, Catholicism. You don't have to be Christian to be pro-human. I mean, even witches, right? Even a witch would be pro-nature, right? Witchcraft, a lot of Wiccans, they consider themselves like, you know, naturists, basically, right? So even a witch witches or whatever should be against that, you'd think, if they're pro nature. So, like Pan and the nature god Pan or whatever. But you get what I'm saying. So this is in your face sickness, anti-humanity on every level. You have the pharmaceutical companies, you have the politicians. I mean, it's right in your face. You got a guy dressed like a girl with long hair. You got another guy, Pete Buttigieg, another homosexual. So you got Washington full of a bunch of homosexual Satanists who hate you. They hate humanity. And this is Washington, D.C. So I'm guessing it's just a trajectory that's kind of just, maybe it fits, right? This is the direction they've been going all these years. And it's only fitting that it kind of meets that destination eventually, right? If you're just going a certain direction, it's going to go all the way there, and then it'll go back or just keep going, right? Kind of like, the pharmaceutical industry or hospitals, if they've been poisoning you a little bit, and this is the trajectory, so you just, follow it into its, well, where does this path end? Where is this going? So, in a way, I guess it makes sense that it's open homosexuality, open anti-humanism, allowing kids to mutilate their bodies, allowing parents to tell their children they're girls when they're boys, and stuff like that. So it's complete insanity. It's absolutely anti-human, and it's people who saying they represent you. They represent you. No, they don't represent you. They do not represent you or your values. They represent the values of, the people who pay them, which is pharmaceutical companies, anti-human, Satanists, I guess. I mean, you can't just say they're anti-human. They got to be anti-nature itself, anti-God, You don't have to be Christian to be pro-nature. Just, hey, this is nature, and they're against nature. They're against human nature. They're against humanity. There's no other way to say it. They're against God. They're against God's creation. Whether you believe in God or not, you can look at nature and say they're against nature. You don't have to believe in Christianity or anything like that, but you can just look at nature and how it should be, and say these people hate God. They hate nature. They hate the birds. They hate humans. They hate fish. And they're trying to push this thing. Oh, they love nature, and we're trying to save the planet and kill humans. Well, no, they want to kill the planet too. They want to kill everything. So, anyways, they're not just trying to kill you, and we want to save the animals, save the other species, but not humanity. We just want to single out humanity, right? There's enough land, there's enough water. All you got to do is farm. Where does food come from? I'm not saying we should overfish the oceans like the Chinese might be doing. But there's enough, if enough people learn how to farm, which can happen, there's enough water, there's enough land, and there is enough farmers, really. You farm fish, cows, sheep. I don't know where I'm going with this, really. Yeah.